All right. Hello, everyone. This is Lisa Cara from In Balance Pilates. I am so excited and thrilled and happy to have on this feature interview today, Kel Caffekey. Kel, welcome.
Whoa, hello. It's amazing to connect with you, my darling.
I know. I love hanging out with you all the time,
Yeah,
whether it's just a coffee date or a session or whatever. So it's so nice to have you here. Uh,
definitely.
yeah, so I wanted to have Kel on today because I've had some fantastic readings from her when she goes on her page, and we'll link all that afterwards in the notes and that on how you can find her. But when she goes live, she does these unbelievable intuitive sessions, and every time I've been blown away. Every person I have referred to her, they have absolutely been blown away with the information that you've brought through from loved ones
Hmm.
that have passed over. It's unbelievable. So I just like thank you deeply from my heart, because there are always
Oh,
times. Yeah, I love you and Nick, and I just love like the way you help people and the messages you send over and just your energy. And then to top it off, you have all this amazing work around inner child. Now, do you
I do.
call it
Yes, definitely.
mostly called inner child healing or inner child work?
Inner child work, if I'm fair,
Okay.
because I think if I'm honest, we're always healing, and I think if you ever get to the point of saying that you're healed, personally for me, I've said I've healed many times, and I haven't. I'm still working on me, so I'm going to say inner child work, and it's the most valuable thing that you can do. Period. Definitely for me, it's been massive. Yeah, 100%, definitely.
And so, and is that something, is it stuff that you do daily, like based on visualizations and meditations? Is there daily work that you do, or is it more as
Um,
feelings come up?
okay, cool. So I'm just gonna do a bit of background. Okay, all right.
Yep.
So, for me as a medium, okay, I found that I didn't have much self-confidence. Okay, I found that I could put myself out there, but I didn't believe in myself. Okay, I didn't think I was worthy of anything. I had very low self-esteem, low self-confidence. Okay, and I came across the whole inner child concept back in 2016 when I had some inner child regression therapy. But I thought at that point I'd been healed.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Then I had my spiritual awakening. And then that massively brought about my inner child work. So I'm saying, as a medium, by working on my inner child, and talking to that little version of me, I've done so much shadow work. I've done so many situations where I sat with her, I chat with her, I talk with her. If I'm triggered, I've just completed a triggers course. So I am always speaking and talking to that part of me. Just really quickly, I was sexually abused from the age of 3.5 until 9 by my father, but I didn't find that out until 2016. I had no idea. I knew I was, but I just didn't know by who.
So
Um,
was it like more repressed feelings that were going on?
yes, so I had no memory of my childhood whatsoever. Okay, if you said to me what was my childhood like,
Okay.
I had no idea beneath the age of 10. I would tell you I wasn't here. I didn't have a clue. I'd locked it all up in that little box. Okay, and I'd put around chain and padlock and chain and padlock. I won't go in there. Okay, all right. However, I remember as a kid always telling people that I was sexually abused. I remember, and I mean, what kid would say that? Okay, so I'm at college and I'm like, I was sexually abused. People used to say by who? Like, I don't know, but I know I am. Okay, that led to 2.5 years of self harm. That led to multiple suicide attempts. I've been an alcoholic. I've been homeless. You name it, pretty much I've done it apart from drugs. I have to say, never done the drugs, but done pretty much everything else. So it's kind of like from that. Can you imagine the knock-on effect to someone my age today who has to deal with all of that stuff? They're going to have a potentially damaged inner child. Okay. Um, so I am constantly chatting to her. And for example, if I'm triggered, Okay. Like I said, having done a triggers course, not last week before, by a guy called Patrick Tehan, amazing guy, check him out on YouTube. He's made loads and loads of inner child videos, absolutely brilliant. I did his triggers course, it was fantastic. But I am always talking to my little girl. So like I said, if she is triggered, I'm very quick. Stop it. Sorry, that's my puppy. I'm very quick to find out what the issue is, what the problem is, and sit and talk with her. And then we get to the bottom of it and we find out what that belief is, because my belief is your inner child is believing certain things and they play out in your life today continuously. And that makes you, and that either stops you from being the very best version of you, or it puts you the other way and you are over extroverted, you work too hard, you don't stop, you keep going, etc., etc.
Okay. And as those triggers come up when you're noticing that that inner child needs a bit of attention, how do some of those show up in your life and some of your clients' life? Like, what does that look like emotionally?
In terms of triggers, okay, if I give you an example, okay, and I'm really open about every experience that I go through, I talk about it on all my lives, etc., all of the time. And if I give you an example, what can I say? I was triggered really recently. Okay, so I had a memory cup up, a very, very deep memory, and basically it made me freeze. Okay, so I believe there are 3 responses for the inner child. Okay, so when your inner child is up and high and active and present, so i.e., your inner child is running your life rather than you. Okay, they call that the inner child up. It was a situation where I froze. Okay, so my partner was saying something to me, but I could hear her, but I couldn't do anything. I couldn't say anything. I froze. And that took me back to a childhood feeling of freezing. And then that massively triggered me. But then I realized, I went for a walk, took my dogs, and I realized that I'd been triggered. There's this deep repressed memory that I need to bring up, resolve, heal, and deal with. And I was able to go away and do that little bit of work to put myself back to where I needed to be. But it's about being able to spot when your inner child is taking over, and your life, you're not running your life. So if you feel like you're being childish, okay, and if I give you an example, one of my clients, okay, I triggered her, okay, it wasn't intentional, it was in a session with her, and I was speaking to her and I said to her, I'd like you to do this, and she went, you can't make me. Now, isn't that a childish response? Okay, and she was, I think she was either 66 or 67 years of age, but she said, you can't make me. And I said to her, well, your inner child is running your life. And she went, no, it's not. I think you're being stupid. So if ever you get to the point where you feel you're giving a childish, stupid answer, then potentially that is your inner child that has been triggered, that is up. And I always see whenever you're triggered, or your inner child is kicking off, she wants talking to, or he does, sorry, for those men of you that are watching. Yeah, that's how I always see it. And I'm very quick to speak to her and go, hey, okay, what's up? And I've got a little thing that I've created in my head where I can reach her. I can connect with her and I can say, hey, what's up? And 9 times out of 10, she wants a hug and she wants some reassurance.
Okay. And do you have any, like, either for yourself, do you have any quick mantras that you go to say, or do you teach your clients to get like kind of
Yeah.
into?
Okay, cool. All right. So one of the things that I always do is I do a guided visualization with any of my inner child clients. Okay. And as a medium,
Which
I'm able to.
and that was phenomenal. And I mean, that's what I wanted to mention too, is like for anyone considering booking with you for that, it is such a journey. You're so amazing at explaining just how to go through it and the process and
Yeah.
how
Sorry.
to
Just give me
not
2 seconds.
for
Apologies.
sure. And how to not leave someone hanging, because sometimes we can, go through these deep processes, but there is a guidance between a start and an ending to make it really, to how to maneuver through it, because it's heavy. It can be heavy stuff when we're
Oh God, without a doubt. I
it
mean, if
is
I
heavy.
go back to that, scenario of being in a freeze, I literally could not stop. Then I went for a walk and I came back and I was hyperventilating in the kitchen. because I was taken back to that memory. I was stuck, I was trapped, I was locked. Okay. And there was nothing that I could do to get out of that, potentially, possibly, in any way, shape, or form. So one of the things that I'm just going to really quickly talk through, okay, is as a medium, I can see that version of you. All right. I don't know how I can, but I can. All right. And all I do is I usually
Child?
take,
The
yeah,
version
I
of
can
a
see,
child that needs.
yeah.
Okay.
So I'm able to see kind of, I guess, that youngest version of you. Okay. And I've done this with loads of clients, and I'm like, I can see that you're wearing black shoes and they've got a buckle on, and then the person will go, yes, I am. And I'll say, can you tell me what you're wearing? And then I'll have an image in my head and I'll be able to see it and verify and confirm it. Okay. Again, I don't know how I do what I do. I just know that I can. And I'm able to give you words and validations from your inner child, because I can hear that child talking to me, because obviously it's from the higher self version. And I'm able to help heal people in that way. That's what I do. But going back to what you originally asked, all I do is I take you to your favorite place, be that the beach, be that to the forest. Okay. But for any of you, okay, so if any of you are, your inner child is up and you're triggered, okay, all I do is I focus into my heart space. I will always take a few deep breaths to calm myself. And I remind myself that this is the present moment and this is not happening. This is taking me back to a point in my life where I was scared, I was frightened, and I was unsure. And all I do is I put my hands on my heart. I literally just take a few deep breaths. I usually close my eyes and I just imagine that I'm just connecting with that youngest version of myself. And I say 3 really important phrases to my little girl. So I will visualize her inside of me. Okay. So if you imagine your heart space, if you imagine there's a little tiny version of you in there. Okay. And that when you're connecting into your heart space, you're talking to her. Okay. And when she's triggered and when she's up, I will say to her the following phrases: I see you, I hear you, you are important to me. And those words reassure her. I always tell her that I love her. I am so proud of her. And I always thank her for letting me know that she needs me. Okay. And saying those statements, saying those affirmations to her, they calm her straight down. And then once I've calmed her down, I'm like, hey, come on then. And I usually take my dogs for a walk. That's why I dashed off. So I've got a puppy. She's only 4.5 months old.
I know, I
And
met her.
let's just say, if you're on a live, you'll see Meg. Okay, she's brilliant. But she was just chewing the carpet then. Sorry. So I had to dash off. Okay. But yeah, no. So I just when I can, then I will just go for a walk usually, and I'll be like, okay, cool. And I'm with her, and I'm like, okay, what happened? Okay, give me that memory. Okay, so I will get her to show me that memory, and I'll be like, okay, I get that you created that belief based on whatever. Okay, so if I take it back to what my wife was saying to me at that point when I was triggered, I was like, okay, right, I get it. Okay, but that isn't necessarily true what it is that you believe, i.e. that you're not good enough. And I'm like, okay, where's the proof? So if you think back to a bit of cognitive behavioral therapy, for all of you out there that have done CBT and stuff, okay, and I'm someone that's tried pretty much every therapy possible. And all I'm doing is I'm putting together all kinds of walks of my therapy that
Mhm.
I've been through and experienced to create what I have now, if you're with me.
Yep.
And I will just talk to her and I will just find out what the issues are. And I'll be like, okay, that isn't necessarily true what you're believing. And I reparent her by saying, no, this is what you need to understand. This is what you need to believe. And I will just sit with her and I'll be like, hey, cool. And eventually we'll go off and we'll play and we'll have fun. But I'll always check in with her. So probably at least once a week I check in with her unless she's triggered. But for any of you starting your inner child work, I would say if you can, if you're going to make a commitment, remember you're dealing with a child. And for any of you parents out there, you would know the importance of what's called the pinky promise. Over here in the United Kingdom it is anyhow, okay?
Yep.
I don't know if it is for you guys over there in Canada or throughout the world or whatever, but if you promise a child something, you better make sure that you deliver on it. So for me, when I started this work, I checked in with her every other day, and I used to have an alarm on my phone to check in with her. Quite often I have gone to bed with my little girl. Okay, so I've imagined that I'm holding her tight, that, for example, daddy can't get her. okay, because he used to come into my room between 2 and 3 every single night and do what he did. And so I just told her, because that's when I was always waking up at those times. I didn't know why, again, okay. So I will, in the beginning when I was doing my work on myself, I used to just be like, okay, it's all right. Let me cuddle you, let me hold you. And my inner child knows that all she needs is me and all I need is her. So
Okay.
nobody outside of us can make us feel better. No external validation can make us feel better. For
Mhm.
want of a better word, I have now taught her that she lives inside of me and she is a version of me, but she's an incredible, amazing, fantastic, wonderful, beautiful version of me. And I've always said to her, she is not a monster. And I've always thanked her, and I have never ignored her since the day I started working with her. And for all of you out there that are watching this, that are just like, I'll deal with it later, I'll
Mhm.
do inner child work later. I haven't got time right now. Oh, it's going to be really painful. I've got this going on, or I've got this holiday. Stop making those excuses,
Mhm.
because what I'm going to say is, in the hundreds of clients that I've worked with on this, the older you get, the more prolific your inner child experience is. I've worked with people in their 70s and it's like talking to a child. I've worked with people in their 20s and I'm catching them young enough
Mhm.
to be able to, and like one lady in Sweden, she's now got a really successful business, all because we worked around her money issues, her money belief as a child. So her money belief was, money doesn't grow on trees, okay, and the world is a hard place, and you can never have anything. She was hungry. Her mother used to be a drug addict, etc., etc. So I did some work with her over it, and now she runs a really successful business over in Sweden. Not saying that's just because of me, but
Mhm.
basically I got her to talk to her little girl to find out the belief, to be able to make her see that actually money is abundant, it's everywhere, but it's the story that you tell yourself.
Okay. Okay. I love all of that. And I have a question about as they're going through it. And so, one thing you said, I really liked you saying about, set a timer on your phone so that you're going to be really
Mhm.
consistent and not let that inner child down and be consistent with that. While you're doing those meditations or that meeting the child on the beach and playing with them and making them feel secure, do you ever also tell them, oh, these are all the good things that happened as I became an adult, like, it's okay, or is that something totally separate?
Well, there is the concept of the inner child and the outer child, i.e., the older version of you. So, with some of my clients, I deal with children at different ages. Okay, so
Yep.
quite often people will come to me and I'll be like, okay, how old do you think your inner child is? And they're like, I don't know. Okay, I'll
Yep.
say to them, give me a number between 1 and 10, and normally the first number they give me is normally the correct answer, and
Okay.
that's how old their inner child is. Okay,
Yep.
however, older.
But would you say, like, would you say to your inner child, oh, all those times you worried about X, Y, and Z, well, that
Yeah, yeah,
really
no,
worked
definitely.
out.
Yeah,
You ended up doing this and it worked out really well, or like
yeah.
would
So, but
you
kind
assure
of like with,
their facts?
kind of like with, stop it. Sorry. Kind of like with she just bit me. Sorry. Kind of like with reparenting the inner child. It's about
Or just having
not
them
not
feel
not not teaching them right from wrong.
okay.
Okay, it's more about, this is the way you need to look at things and view things. Okay, so it's almost changing the story. All right. And we spoke off camera earlier around EFT, which I cannot
Yeah.
recommend enough,
Yes.
specifically with the inner child in terms of releasing trapped emotions and whatever. Okay.
Mhm.
um so for me, I
So
think it really does
EFT,
have
in
to.
case anyone, we should remind them, EFT, in case anyone's not familiar, emotional freedom technique, tapping. And we can
That
even
one.
drop, if you have any favorite links for that, we can drop that in the comments as well after. Just so,
Yeah, I'm going to quickly just say out there, Brad Yates,
oh,
on YouTube, absolutely amazing guy. I used to do all my shadow work and I used to do tapping straight after.
okay.
Okay, so for
Okay.
example, I used to listen to something, by Aaron Dougherty. Okay, I've done his course, Emotional Freedom. That was, I think that was $400. That was an amazing course that I've done. Really, really helped me, and he incorporated the EFT with it. But I used to do his shadow work meditation. Then I used to do tapping afterwards, just bring myself back to where I needed to be. Massively. Yeah, so sorry, you went off there. So yeah.
Yes, okay, okay. And then, okay, so that is wonderful. And so when people book with you, you'll go through that with them and bring them through that session and take them to their favorite place and go through all that work and then give them those kind of.
Yeah, okay, cool. So just a little bit. So kind of like session one with me is
Yep.
just connecting with your inner child. Okay. I am all about, for example, if I speak from my perspective, not a client's, okay. From my perspective, I had ignored that inner child within me for around about 30 odd years. Okay, all right. So one of the biggest exercises that you can ever do is teaching your inner child trust. Okay, so from my point of view, I get you in session one, the very first session, to meet your inner child, see what they're like. Are they scared? Are they fearful? 9 times out of 10, they're not happy. They're usually feeling alone. I've had inner children before that I've worked with. There was one woman that I worked with, her little girl used to be a dancer, okay, and she was like, nope, I don't want to speak to you. So we had to do some work to try and get her to speak to her inner child. But I very much get you just to meet that version of you. Usually go and play poo sticks, or you'll go and build a sandcastle, or you'll do something like that. And you will get to meet that experience with that inner child. And then what I usually do is then I get you usually every other day to connect with your inner child without me. But I will teach you in that session how to find your inner child, what to do, and what to say when you go and see them. I always send a worksheet afterwards, detailing exactly step by step what we went through in your individual tailored session,
Yep.
because no two sessions are ever the same with any client.
Yep.
And then the one thing I do, and I need to mention this, is in the session where I get you to meet your inner child, is I get your inner child to make you feel a certain way when they need you. Okay.
Okay, to give you that awareness.
Right, yeah. So, off camera, we spoke about
Yeah.
when a trigger happens. Okay. So some of my clients have had an itchy right ear. Okay. Some of my clients have had an itchy foot. Some of my clients have felt a pain in their lower back. Some of my clients have had what was one of them? She used to fiddle with her fingers. So if she was fiddling with her fingers at work or whatever, she knew it was her inner child that was nervous. And one of my clients, she couldn't stand on stage in front of anybody, yet she used to have 75 employees. So she found me and we did some work. So I kind of teach you in that session that when you feel a certain way, that
Yep.
is your inner child going, woohoo, cooey, hey, hi, I need you, I need you. And that's where you come back to, I see you, I hear you, you are important to me, and I will come and see you as soon as I can. Because if your inner child is up and is kicking off and needing attention,
Yep.
you need to go and speak to that version of you to find out what the issue is. And sometimes it's a case of just sitting there and going, I know, I understand. And I always say to my clients in the beginning, you probably don't have those answers. So just listen and journal it. So when you come out of a session with your inner child,
Yep.
journal it. And I've got a brilliant journal of every single session I did with my inner child. It's a massive thick book of every session I done. And I wrote notes after every single session. And then you can also see the progress. And then in further sessions, 2, 3, 4, normally no more than 5 with any client, I teach you the reparenting skills, how to reparent that version of you to make them know that the story they told themselves at that given time isn't true.
Okay.
Okay. And I've also got a really great technique where I deal with the higher self. Okay. So I can, for want of a better word, bring through the higher self of anybody and get them to give you the answers to questions. So some of my clients have been exceptionally angry with their parents that have passed across, hence the medium.
Yep.
Okay. And as a medium, I can bring that version of your parent through in your session to give you some answers for why they were the way they were, and give you answers so that you can understand it, and the child in you can hear that validation and hear those answers. And then I finally take you through the Ho'oponopono method.
Yes.
Okay, the 4 statements. All
Yeah.
right. So kind of, I know that sounds kind of long-winded. However, it all pulls into a beautiful, in as little as 3 sessions, I've helped people to heal their inner child. I really, really have. And it's just been fantastic.
Yeah. And so, yes, book with Kel for that, because it's wonderful work. It's deep work. Yeah. As you said, you're committing afterwards as well to the journaling and the processing it and the being able to face it head on when you need to. But speaking about the being a medium and that kind of thing, because we wanted to talk about that. I know a lot of my friends and colleagues on here. I'm really blessed to have a lot of in real life friends that are mediums, intuitive and clairvoyant and all the things. And I'm always so interested to know, how did you go from that beginning of hearing things, feeling things like
Oh,
that
that's an interesting
beginning,
story.
to
Okay.
actually feeling like, no, this is not just, I'm not, I'm not hearing things. This is inner knowing, intuition. I need to act on this. Tell me a bit about that section of time.
Wow. Okay, cool. All right. So my story is probably different to many mediums. Okay. So I wasn't per se born with it. Okay. All right. I knew of it when I was younger. So I used to speak to somebody in the playground. Okay. But I didn't know that they were dead. I had no idea. Okay.
Okay.
I thought everyone could do what I could do as a kid. Okay. However, one day I asked my mother, and my mother was like, no, darling, that's not normal. That doesn't happen. Well, I freaked myself out and I turned my gift off completely. I stopped communicating with the dead, whatever. I was just not having any of it. Okay. But
Yeah.
I've always been a more conscious human being, should I say. Okay. So I guess what you would term awakened. Okay. So
Yeah.
my awakening has been through stages. So, for example, at 14, I remember sitting with my mum looking at the stars and saying to her, Mummy, why do people watch us from the moon? Just as a random thing, okay?
Yeah.
Or I remember saying to her, why is life a game? Like, why are we a game? Why are we like ants? Why do people control us? And I was only 14, okay, at the time. All right, my mum kind of remembers that situation. But truthfully, the medium side of me, I was in a hand-fasted pagan relationship with somebody, and her grandmother was a messenger. And I was 22 at the time, and this was just before we ended our relationship. Her grandmother touched my shoulders and literally went, now is your time. And from that moment onwards, it was like a light had switched. I
Yeah.
could see everybody I looked at, I saw as numbers and energy. Okay. I could see inside people's bodies as if it's a form of an x-ray. Okay. So like the medical medium, they can tell you what's wrong with you. Okay. So I would say to people, I know that you've got cancer. I wouldn't say that, but I'd know it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then I started hearing loads of voices. I was surrounded by spirit 24/7. I had no idea at all what grounding was, opening up, closing. And anyhow, long story short, I sent myself loopy a little bit. Okay.
Mhm.
So I did it for a little bit, then I stopped. And my very first trance experience was back in 2009. So I used to be a trance medium, but I don't do that anymore. And not because I don't want to, but because the inner child is much more of a passion to me than the trance.
Mhm.
But I first did trance in 2009. And that's
And
where
then,
I went and done
yeah.
I went and done a reading for a guy.
Yep.
And for all intents and purposes, apparently my face changed, my voice changed. I sounded like her. I sat in the chair and he gave me a kiss. Okay.
Yep.
That's the level of trance. And if any of you guys have seen me live, sometimes my face does change. Sometimes my voice does change. And I assume the identity of that person that is deceased and passed. And I can completely change. And some of you guys have seen me do that live on air.
Mhm.
But that was my first experience. It made me very, very ill. So again, I stopped doing it. I was a massive part of the spiritualist church community back in 2010. I was on 2 committees, working my way up the church. And that's over here, by the way. It's called the Spiritualist National Union over here in the United Kingdom. I was on platform, all sorts. And then one day, one of the chief executive officers of one of the churches told me that I was too specific. And that I needed to be much more general to get bums on seats, because bums on seats pays money. So even though you've got a religious organization, so to speak,
Yeah.
because I would be like, can I come to you, my love, and work with you? My messages were so detailed, so
Yeah.
accurate, and so spot on, that that he just went, you're brilliant, but you're only going to one person. You're not keeping the whole room entertained. And bearing in mind, you've got 40 or 50 people in a church.
Yeah.
It's great, but he wanted, because I was pulling numbers in, he wanted me to go, for example, I've got someone here, has war connections, got grey hair, don't they all?
Right. Yeah.
Okay, with me. So he wanted me to keep it very general and go, I think I'm roughly over there. I could be on this side of the room, not this side. I've got a woman coming through who's wearing a floral dress, didn't they all? She remembers VE Day, didn't they all? See what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyhow, long story short, I ended up leaving the church completely. I then had a nervous breakdown, and completely lost the plot. I then did some more work in 2012, but again, I wasn't ready. And then I didn't do anything for 4 years. And then I started putting myself out there as a kind of like reading for friends,
Yeah.
really like low key. Okay, I made a page on Facebook. I didn't have a clue what I was doing, Lisa. I had no idea. I left it alone for a little bit. I had another breakdown in 2016, but that was the start of my massive healing journey. And then eventually,
When you started doing more of the shadow work and that like
yeah,
into, okay.
yeah. And then in 2018, I was in a not very nice relationship with somebody. They were more emotionally violent than physical, very nice narcissist person. And basically, I was a dog walker, and stuff started happening to me. So, for example, everywhere I went, I heard clocks ticking. Everywhere I went. Okay. People would say the word time. It's your time. All the songs I listened to were about time. It's now, and the present moment. And you've got to do it now. And I started feeling more and more. And anyway, my car just kept going wrong. Like I'd be doing 60 miles an hour, and all of a sudden it would stop and it would break down. And then I was, as a dog walker, dogs bit me. Owners complained about me. Bearing in mind, I'd owned my own business for 18 months. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I basically had enough one day. I rang up my boss and I said, I'm going to quit. I can't do this anymore being a dog walker. And she said, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to be a medium. And then on January the 1st, 2019, I went out there. I had no clue about Facebook Live, but I just knew that it was my time. And then from then onwards, everything
Did you say
started going right.
January 2019?
Yeah. 1st of January 2019 was my very first live
Okay,
as Kel
wow.
Trans Medium on my
And
old Facebook page.
okay, and see, originally found you as one of the because I'm a Pilates instructor for those of you that don't know. I had a brick and mortar for 11 years and then had a concussion, had a lot of changes, whatever. So one of the concussion groups I'm in, that's how they had popped your
Wow.
stream into there. And then I believe it was it was either the end of January 2019 or
Wow.
February. I feel that's when we did that reading. Or was it? But anyways, yeah. So yeah, no, it's amazing how the internet connects people and we meet people and
Yeah,
no
definitely.
coincidences. Like, the people we meet, we're so meant to meet for a reason. People we're meant to learn from and
Yeah, and now I teach people how to be a medium, so
yeah.
I've just started doing workshops. So I did a spiritual awakening workshop. I did a workshop all about your inner child about a month ago. I've got another one starting, I think it's next Thursday, which is looking at your spiritual development. So the very beginning stages of understanding your spiritual path.
Okay.
And that'll be out on my page tomorrow. So I'm kind of like doing that. I'm now teaching people how to be a medium. And believe me, okay, I am totally self-taught. I've never done a course. I've never
Oh,
done anything. Okay. I believe, as do so many people, that you are the greatest teacher and you do have all of the answers inside of yourself.
yeah.
And you do, and the answers are inwards, guys. Go within. And then take those nudges. Like you gave me a nudge earlier, EFT. And I was like, there's
Yeah,
my
I told you.
confirmation.
Yeah, this morning I had the lovely chance. I have one of my beautiful friends, Stephanie Latour, who also works on my website. We've been working together since 2016, and today I was just plastering her with thank yous and love because I'm like, the amount of time she had to retell me how to do something on my website because I had for 2 years, like, I to read an instruction and then do it was very difficult. So, I was just, again, thanking her today for her patience and love, because when you're going through brain stuff where you're not remembering stuff and, your confidence isn't there, when you have those people that are, like, so love you and have your back, it's just priceless. So for those people, of both of our audiences that are listening, that are maybe in that spot where they are hearing they're hearing
Mhm.
things are happening. Okay, that intuitive stuff is happening. Um, where should they turn to develop that a bit more?
In terms of your intuition.
Yeah,
You see, for me, it's been trusting myself. It's been no, okay. So there's two things that jump out to me from my guides there. Okay, first off, please, whenever you're doubting yourself, okay, remember you have a sixth sense. Okay, there is a film called The Sixth Sense. It's called the intuition. It's called the gut feeling. Okay,
mhm,
for any of you watching, please tell me at any point in your life, and I would give you $100. Okay, where your gut instinct has been wrong. Okay. So
okay,
whenever you are in a situation and you're like, now I shouldn't be doing that. Okay. Has
yep,
it always proven to be the wrong thing you shouldn't do? Okay. So, i.e., I bought a house. Okay. I knew when I went and looked at that house that it was going to have so many problems, but I was like, oh my God, no, it's a great price. It's what I can afford. The mortgage, the down payments are really cheap. Yeah. It ends up costing me thousands and thousands and thousands. There's an example of not listening to my gut feeling, my gut instinct.
yeah,
Um, but
and we get
it's
that with
kind of
people, right?
gone.
We get that with people, like, we really need to
Yeah.
be aware of.
And yeah, and just one thing I want to say on that, just really quickly, when we look at intuition and people, what I'm going to say is, if you spend some time with somebody,
Mhm,
and you walk away feeling drained and tired, like they're not listening, then they're not for you.
right.
Okay. If you spend time with somebody and you
I
feel
love those
uplifted and
boundaries.
enlightened, you want to talk to them more and more, you can't get enough of them. That is great intuition. Yes, they're good. So for
Yeah,
those of you that are, really struggling with your intuition, that's number one. Okay. Ask yourself in your whole life, is there ever a point where you've gone, I shouldn't do that, or I should, and you've not? Is there ever a point that you've felt that way and can prove yourself wrong? Because that is your instinct, that is your gut intuition. I live 100% on intuition in my life. Okay.
yeah,
Literally my whole life is based on how I feel about everything. Okay. So
yeah,
I use my lucid dreaming, I lose my journal and everything, whatever comes in my head, I know my higher self is speaking to me. And secondly, the other question I want any of you out there watching, okay, if any of you can speak to spirit, or you can deal with the higher self, or you get feelings that you've got your loved ones with you, okay,
mhm,
ask yourself this question. Okay, whoever it is you're communicating with, whatever it is you're communicating with, what agenda would they have to ever lie? Bearing in mind they're not on earth. Okay, so they won't have an agenda, because everything on the other side is about love. Okay, and when you've crossed over, why would spirit ever want to lie? We lie here to try and serve our better good, because we think that lying will get us somewhere, or not being honest. However, when you are sitting there and going and you're doubting what spirit are giving you, try it, because you won't be wrong. I do some amazing channel messages for people, and I'm like, there are times that I'm like, no, that can't be real, and I'll send it, because I do. I literally write the whole channel reading out. I just auto correct it. I spell check it. I will send it. And then the amount of times people have gone, oh my God, wow. A lady yesterday, she went, oh, my dad used to hold the chocolate above our head, and he used to put it on the mantelpiece. Now, I trusted that I saw dad, chocolate, head, mantelpiece, and I sent that through to her.
oh my,
And that one bit of that reading, she was like, that is 100% my dad.
yeah,
So if ever you're reading for somebody and you're thinking, you're seeing it, or you're feeling it, or there's a memory playing out in your head,
mhm,
that's true, because they don't have anything to gain from lying to you. But
right,
it's the most hardest thing when you're reading for somebody is, no, I can't take that. No, I can't take that. Do you know what I always say? Can you keep hold of it for me? Because the chances are, in 3 to 4 weeks,
mhm,
that may make sense in a conversation that you have with somebody.
yeah.
And that's what I always say. So number one, give me a reason when your gut instinct or your gut feeling or your sixth sense has ever let you down, because it won't be wrong. And number two, why would spirit ever lie? If you can give me an honest answer, brilliant. But what is their agenda? What do they gain from lying to you when actually the other side exists because they want to help you? They come through to give you messages of love. And there's not one spirit I've ever worked with that has been horrible or nasty and wanted to ever hurt somebody. If anything, they're so full of apology,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you're dealing with the soul version. Remember that. So that, well, for me as a medium, I believe I'm dealing with the soul version of that. So that's two things around intuition that I kind of hope helps a little bit.
Oh, that helps tremendously. I love it. And I just want to say hi to Karen and thanks to her for watching. She's also into meditation, being a healer. And she's just saying, yeah, it takes a village of healers for the 7 billion planet population. Higher self
Totally.
power guidance is fantastic, which is so true. And it's so true. We need to gravitate to the healers
Yeah.
that
And
allow us to be
and
our.
what I'm going to say, I mean, I'm live regularly on my channel, okay. But what I'm going to say is, it's time for us light workers to step up now. Okay, we need you now. So if any of you watching are light workers and you're doubting yourself, okay, get over it. I know that's really hard to say, but
Yep.
do that inner work. And maybe, just maybe, if you're coming across this interview, if you're watching it, it's because your time is now. I believe as a collective, us light workers are dotted all the way around the world. Okay, we have been strategically placed, because we are here to help with the awakening that is going on the planet. And any of you awakened individuals, I don't like the term awakening, okay, but when you become more consciously aware of why you're here, your soul purpose, etc., your time is now. And I'm going to quickly say before we finish, the
Mhm.
amount of people that I am coming across that lose a loved one start spiritual awakening.
Yes.
Okay, if
Yep.
I tell you my last 6 weeks have been, I lost my soulmate and I've had a spiritual awakening. I've lost mum and I've had a spiritual awakening.
Yep.
La, 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 la. It is continuous. And you know what? I am blessed people find me. And I do believe, if you're watching this, if there's just a word that jumps out at you, if there is a sentence that jumps out of you, this is a message from your higher self. This is what they call a download to you. And
Mhm.
I believe that our time is now. Like, we've known each other for a long time,
Mhm.
okay? And I had a dream about you interviewing me, and then I approached you, and then here we are,
Yep.
because I believe the time is now.
Yep.
So as light workers, let's go out there and do that.
Yes.
Let's shine our light so bright, and let's help people, and let's also trust in the process that people cross your path as and when they need to.
Mhm. Mhm. Oh, I love
Kind of
that.
amazing.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. And we're going to link up everything where you can get a hold of Kel and where you can book with her and check out her workshops that she has coming up. And for those of you that are into Pilates, I've taught Pilates for 20 years. I find just getting into doing movement and meditation and mindset is so, so needed. It's what really helped get me through all of that post concussion stuff we were talking about before. So my website is imbalancepilates.ca, and I've got some breathing exercise courses and some Pilates downloads and courses. So feel free to check that out. And your website, you can tell
Is just kelcaffekey.co.uk. Can't make it more simple than that.
me.
And there's loads of stuff over there. So yeah, no, I'd love to work with any of you or help in any way, but I truly am blessed to any of you that are watching this video. What a time to be alive, hey? What a
Yes,
time.
yes,
And it's a time to help heal yourself, to be the very best version of you, and just be your true authentic self. Put yourself out there as you are. My name's Kel. What you see is what you get. And it's just an incredible experience.
yeah.
Thanks, Lisa.
And get up and just live your purpose and surround yourself with people that know how to let you shine and be yourself and all of those things. It's so important. I always
Yeah,
think, who is around you when you're winning and things are going well. And as you said before, how do you feel? What does that person radiate after you're with
yeah.
them? It's so, so, so true. So yeah, thank you everyone to who have watched today. Feel free to say hi, comment below. We'll circle back and say hello. And yeah, everyone have a lovely day. Thanks so much for being on this feature interview.
No, awesome. Thank you very much, Lisa. Totally appreciate the opportunity. Thank you, my darling.
Of course. Well, everyone have a lovely day and sending lots of love from us to you. Just going to stop the stream. It should have stopped by
Yeah,
now.
no, it says live's gone off it, but the
Okay,
recording thing's
perfect.
still going.